Devaya, Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it from text 19?
Yes, Sridham. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Maya Javanika Janam Anjad Akshajamavyayam Nalaksha Mudrujisha Natonyathyadaro Yata.
Translation. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the duration curtain of duration and deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized.
Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidanartam Katam Pashe Mahistriya.
Translation. You yourself descended to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matters and spirits. How they can we women know you perfectly.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleaser of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and enlivener of the clouds and senses.
Nama Pankajana Vaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangriya.
Translation. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marketed with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of the lotus flowers, who glanced in the cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses.
Tarushi Kesha Kilena Devaki Kamse Narodariti Chiram Sucharpita Vimochita Hamsa Sahatma Vivo Tyaye Banate Namur Vipadganat.
O Rishikesha, master of the senses, O Lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers.
Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanad Asad Sabaya Vanavarsha Kritrata Mride Mridene Kana Maharatrasto Rauni Astratras Trashpahare Virakshita.
My dear Krishna, your lordship was protected us from a poisonous cake, from a great fine, and cannibals from the vicious assembly, from suffering during the exile in the forest, and from the battle where great general fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama.
Vipada Santata Shashvat Tatra Jagadguru Bhavato Darshanam Yatyad Apanar Bhavadarshanam.
I wish that all the calamities calamities, who happened again and again, so that we could see you again and again, for seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated birth and deaths.
Janmeshwarya Shuta Shribir Edamanamadapman Nevarhati Apidatam Vaitam Akinchana Gocharam.
My Lord, your worship, my Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high in educated and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feelings.
Namo Kinchana Vitaya Nivrita Guna Vrittaye Atmaramaya Santaya Kevalya Pataye Nama.
My obeisances are unto you, who are the properties of the material impoverish. You have nothing to do with the actions and creations of the material reactions of the material modes of nature, who are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are masters of the monists.
Manyatam Kalaishanam Anadinidanam Vibhum Samam Charantam Sarvatra Bhutanam Yanmita Mitakalihi.
My Lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time and supreme controller, without being and beginning and end, the all-pervading one, pervasive one. In distribution for mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse.
Navedakaschid Bhagavanschikritam Tave Hamanasya Ninam Vedam Banam Nayasya Kaschid Daitosti Karichid Vishascha Yasmin Vishamamatirnanam.
O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human, and so are misleading. You have no specific objection or favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial.
Janma Karma Cha Vishvatman Ajasya Kartaratmana Tiranyashvishriyadasu Tat Adyantyat Vidambanam.
Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force, and the unborn. You yourself descended amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, with his bewildering.
Gopi Radhe Tvaikritta Gasita Matavad Yate Dusashru Kalinjana Sambramaksham Yaktram Niniya Bhavanaya Stitasya Samam Vimoyati Birapi Yad Bibeti.
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and you purported purple eyes overflowed with tears, which tasted and which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, the fear personified. It is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me.
Kechedahara jamjatam Panyashlokasya kirtaye Yadopriyasyas navan bhavye ye Malasyas Malayasya chandanam.
Some say that the unborn is born for glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yashoda, King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in the family as sandalwood appears in the Himalaya hills.
Apare Vasudevasya Devakyam Yachito Bhyagat Ajastamasya Shemaya Vadaya Chasuradvisham.
Translation. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki pray for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Paravatara Nayanye Bhuvanava Evodato Sedantya Barena Jato Hyatma Bhavartitaha.
Others say that the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved at the Brahma, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
Paveshmin Shliyashmananam Avidya Karma Karma Bihi Shavanasmaranarani Karishaneti Kechana.
And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
Shinvanti Gayanti Ginanti Abhikshnasha Swaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana Ta Eva Pashyanti Achirena Tavakam Bhava Pravoharmam Parambujam.
O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others, doing so certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear Sridham India. Sachi, that was wonderful recitations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much. It was very, very nice. Very wonderful presentation, very wonderful recitation. Next year when there will be Bhagavad Gita recitation, Yash, you should definitely be present there. So Sridham. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances. Haven't been present here for quite some time. So thank you for the opportunity for speaking again. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. So devotee who's having the rights, either can I have them so I can share the screen?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, I've made you the host now, Prabhuji.
Okay, I got them. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So today we're going to be quickly kind of going through this verse, this particular verse, Canto 1, chapter 8, verse 28. Translation one more time. My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, supreme controller, without beginning and end, and the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse. So Srila Prabhupada speaks in his purport very interestingly. He speaks about the causality of events and how the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this feature of the Paramatma, and another feature of the Paramatma, which is Kala, the eternal time, is the one who perceives and oversees all the activities within the living beings. How he's the one who actually delivers the fruits of the individual actions, how he delivers the reactions to the entities, how he is the supreme controller. Therefore, very interesting thing. There's very interesting things which Prabhupada mentions. I can start reading a bit. Kunti Devi knew that Krishna was neither her nephew nor an ordinary family member of her paternal house. She knew perfectly well that Krishna is the primeval Lord who lives in everyone's heart as the Supersoul Paramatma. Another name of the Paramatma feature of the Lord is Kala, or eternal time. Eternal time is the witness of all of our actions, good and bad, and thus resultant reactions are destined by him. It is no use saying that we do not know why and for what we are suffering. We may forget the misdeeds for which we may suffer at this present moment, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore he knows everything past, present, and future. So it's interesting, within this first section, Prabhupada is very strongly presenting the point of faith, right? In our day-to-day lives, we kind of struggle with different reactions or different causalities of our previous actions with our karma, right? Whatever it may be, either is our metaphysical mind constitution, the way we operate, either our body is not functioning in the correct way, either we are not in the right situation where we don't want to be. But same time, there's this great aspect of faith that actually, I was thinking that the importance of Shraddha, right? We have different stages of bhakti, from Shraddha to Prema. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Niriti, Nishta, and so on. But the importance of Shraddha is something which discriminates or distinguishes between different levels and layers of devotion. So Shraddha is something which is always present with us as a devotees. So when we read sections like this, that basically whatever we have in our life at this point, we deserve that. So actually, it sounds very bad sometimes. Whatever is happening in our life, good or bad, we deserve it. That's what basically is written in this section. And to many people, and also to many devotees, this is not very palatable, sort of a palatable situation, because we have a tendency to sort of either manipulate our material surrounding for either our benefit or the benefit of those which are around us. Sometimes these situations are negative. It's something which we don't really resonate with. So, but here Prabhupada says, but we must remember that Paramatma is our constant companion, and therefore he knows everything, past, present, and future. So it's a matter of faith. It's a matter of acceptance of Guru Sadhu Shastra. So this whole concept of Paramatma, the eternal person who witnesses all of our activities and delivers the resultant actions, it's a matter of faith. So whatever happens in our life is just Shraddha and faith that, yes, this meant to happen. But the difference between Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama Adhikaris is that we look differently upon the situations which happen in our life. Karmic people, they will ask, oh, why do I deserve this? Why this happened to me? I'm a good guy, right? I'm a good person. But devotee asks a question, what can I learn from this? What Krishna actually wants to teach me by the things which are happening to me now? So we cannot really change the karmic reactions, but one thing we can change is the perception of how we can actually digest this whole situation. So in the Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, in the verse 62 and 63, they said that the most important factor of actually digesting all of these things is perception, or how we actually perceive and discriminate and observe and digest these activities. So we can be looking in there can be two people having the same life situation, but both of them can look in life differently based on their perception. So this is very important, contemplation. While contemplating on the objects of the senses, one may develop attachment for them from attachment, lust develops greed, and so on. So the way we contemplate upon the situations which happen in our life, the contemplation is based on faith, based on Shraddha, that we have faith that this is what it has to happen, or we don't have faith. So that's the discrimination between the different levels and layers of devotees. So continuing with the purport, Prabhupada says, and because the Paramatma feature of the Lord Krishna destines all actions and reactions, he is the supreme controller also. Without his sanction, not the blade of grass can move. The living beings are given as much freedom as they deserve, and misuse of that freedom is the cause of suffering. The devotees of the Lord do not misuse their freedom, and therefore they are the good sons of the Lord. Others who misuse freedom are put in miseries destined by the eternal Kala. The Kala offers the conditioned souls both happiness and miseries. It is all predestined by eternal time. As we have miseries uncalled for, we may have happiness also without being asked, but they are all predestined by Kala, or by time. So basically we have different levels, or different degrees of fructification of Kala. So think about karma as a seed, right? Think about that you take such an activity and you plow and you put basically the seed in the soil of material nature. And some of the karmic reactions come immediately, some of them take some time, some of them take a lot of lifetimes. So as this seed of reaction is growing into a tree, in certain point of time, you will harvest the result of the fruit of that action, good or bad. So one who's a devotee, he develops this tranquility, right? This steadiness in good and bad. And that's a very, very unique feature to actually possess. It's, when we read Bhagavatam and Srimad and Bhagavad Gita and all these spiritual Bhakti Shastras, these concepts are very, very much in a theoretical level and theoretical platform for us. But one day we have to come to a stage where we actually have some spiritual epiphanies, spiritual realizations on these really, really unique topics. So we should put ourselves in situations where, for instance, we are forced to not only witness, but to realize these eternal wisdoms. We need to realize the epiphany of tranquility in our spiritual life. So it becomes something which is not only theoretical, it's not only some kind of a sambandha gyan, but is really abhideya. We put it in practice and we operate in our day-to-day life on the premises of this philosophy. So continuing with the purport, no one is therefore either an enemy or friend of the Lord. Everyone is suffering and enjoying the result of his own destiny. This destiny is made by the living beings in course of social intercourse. Everyone here wants to lord it over the material nature, and thus everyone creates his own destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He is all-pervading, and therefore he can see everyone's activities. And because the Lord has no beginning or end, he is known also as the eternal time, Kala. So quite frequently, Prabhupada uses in his connection this term Kala. I put it in research, and exactly 7 times Prabhupada used it in the purport. Kala, or basically eternal time. So one of the things is, whenever I distribute books, people always say to me, I don't have time, right? They always run around so quickly, so fast, and they always say, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. And one thing which I learned to reply to them is like, you have only time, nothing else you actually possess. It's only time which you have. But what you don't have at this moment is that this spiritual philosophy is not a priority for you. That you don't have. Time you have, and you have priorities, and you prioritize other things, but time you have, that's the only thing you have. But you just don't have spirituality as a priority in your life. That's the kind of a typical answer I give. So we have time to do, but the question is, do we prioritize things? So spiritual life is basically activity of prioritizing. One of my devotee friends, when I entered brahmachari life, he said to me one word, and it said prioritize. So spiritual life versus material life, it's a matter of what do you prioritize. And that can be, again, bring down to the point of faith. What do we invest our faith? You see, faith to a certain degree can be measured by the activities that we perform, by the consciousness that we have when performing these activities, and where our focus goes. So you can still perform all your day-to-day, duties, household duties, or any type of duties. Yet, what is the consciousness where we perform it? So this depends on the faith that we have. Do we have faith in the material life, in the material nature, or do we invest the faith in the spiritual activities, or sort of a cultivating spiritual consciousness? So, yeah. So Prabhupada says, no one is therefore either an enemy or friend of the Lord. It's interesting that basically all of us, because we are part and parcels of the Lord, why should Krishna sort of had this sort of a duality, or this sort of a concept of rejecting and accepting? Ultimately, there's one very important saying, which we all, I try to meditate on this when you're on the book distribution, so you don't discriminate always unnecessarily. That is, every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. So many times when you read these variety of pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, and when you can actually backtrack these great saintly personalities, you can actually tell that some of them haven't been so saintly all the time. Some of them are not Nitya Siddhas. Some of them are Sadhaka Siddhas, Sadhana Siddhas, which means that they perfected their life based on spiritual practices like sadhana bhakti. So, there are different pastimes of who is Parikshit Maharaj, who's Dhruva Maharaj, who's different individuals from Bhagavatam, and their lives, they could be very regular lives like our lives, yet the reasons why they're special is because they received the mercy of a pure devotee, and they had the deep faith and desire to change. So I think that's all it's required of us, developing Shraddha in Guru Sadhu Shastra and the saintly devotees in scriptures and the spiritual master. And you can be saintly as Dhruva Maharaj. You can be deeply concerned by the spiritual topics like Maharaj Parikshit. You can be righteous as the Yadus or as the Pandavas. You can receive the qualities and desire to preach Harinam Sankirtan like Narada Muni. So that's why sadhana bhakti can actually produce all these individual personalities. So if you keep on touch with the process, then that's it. Shraddha. So I'll leave it there. If there are any points devotees would like to ask or share, or any feedback, please do so.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Prabhuji, what a profound purport this is. I mean, it's the right one that I probably needed today. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. You explained it so well, and it was so very clear. Prabhuji, I have a question actually. So my kids are 12 and 14. And when we sit for kirtan in the evening, you could tell that my kids are, I have explained them that mommy needs 10 minutes with you. where we do kirtan and we read one shloka of Bhagavad Gita every single day. That's 10 minutes of your time, no more than that. 10 minutes and we stop. So we literally put timer on as well, so that they understand that mummy is not gonna force or do anything. But Prabhuji, what I noticed was that my son's very inquisitive like me, so he would always have questions, which is nice. But you know, Prabhuji, you just said the word faith. You used that word so many times about the faith and the belief and stuff. So Prabhuji, yesterday he said this. It broke my heart when he said this, but obviously as a mom, I'm like, I have to just explain him how I feel. He goes to me, mom, this doesn't mean the shloka was about material world and spiritual world. And he goes, mom, there is no spiritual world. I said, how do you know? And he goes to me, mommy, it's a bit like you reading Harry Potter and telling me Harry Potter is true. So that just broke my heart. I'm like, oh my God, how can you say this? But how do you, I mean, all I said to him was, look, beta, you know, mummy has gone through some tough times in life, which is, you know, death related, etc. And that brought my faith back in. It was always instilled in me, but I never took it seriously. So does I know this is not a nice thing to ask, Prabhuji, but how can the faith come in children? Because they've started at a very, if you were young, I get it, you always followed this, but they're 14, you know, where they're into this argumentative state anyway right now with their parents, you know, and every kid goes through that. So how can you nicely explain them, and will the faith, I mean, I trust Krishna. I know the faith will come one day, and I need to have the patience. But it's a bit disrespectful to say that, oh my God, Bhagavad Gita, and comparing it to Harry Potter. Now, how do I tackle this is the question, Prabhuji, I have. Thank you.
Thank you for that point. Maybe some other devotees can also share their sort of reflections, especially those, you know, which have this experiences with children. As me, as a brahmachari, I can't really tell much. But on top of my head, something which came out of, and we discussed this before, faith comes by associating with those people which have faith. So faith breeds faith. Just like, you know, crowds attract people. So you yourself, first of all, need to become someone who's strong in faith. You yourself, first of all, have to become someone who's like a pillar of faith, someone who truly, you know, practices the philosophy, someone truly has the meanings and the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita and so on. Because children, more than words, with children, it's the actions they can absorb, or, you know, the ethos of the household. Many times you can explain so many things by using so many wonderful words, but it's just like when Srila Prabhupada was preaching Krishna consciousness, he was very bold, right? Imagine he went to Lower East Side in New York, in Bowery, and he was speaking so boldly about Krishna. And when you listen to Prabhupada memories by Prabhupada disciples, they say, we haven't really know anything about Krishna consciousness. Yet one thing which is very attractive about Prabhupada was that he had so much unalloyed faith and vision and purity of understanding that the way he was speaking is that it cannot be in another way. The charisma and the purity he was holding was so powerful that people trusted him. Naturally, there was a lot of faith in him as a person. So, and especially children when they're older, it is said that from the age of 5 up to the age of 15, 20, the children should be trained in Krishna consciousness, more like drilled, educated. And after that age, they will not listen anymore anyway. They will become rather more equal in a sense. They will still be children in your eyes, but it's like the education from the parental side is more or less diminished. He doesn't see you anymore as some kind of supreme authority, but rather it's more like, okay, the relationship becomes more equal, if that makes sense. I know that, even my parents, I love them, but in the age of 16, 17, it was like I start educating myself. I start reading my own books, start doing on my own journey, because the development of the personality is kind of either diminished or slows down a bit. So I also will say the different approach needs to be presented rather. maybe introduce them to different devotees, to monks, to brahmacharis, bring them more often to the temple. I don't know. Maybe some other devotees can share any insight or any feedback. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Any other devotees have any insight on this matter, or any other questions they wish to share, or points they wish to share?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. This question that this Mataji has just raised, it's not only her. I think it's lots of parents going through this, and mostly in the Western world, it's quite difficult. But it is also said in the Shastra that when the child is young, then we can control the child. But when they reach the age of 14, we should be like friends with them. We should act as friends with them. So in this context, and also we know that education is taught at home, and the mother is the first guru, right? So the mother should have patience, and the mother should tell the child not to compare the Bhagavad Gita with Harry Potter. Harry Potter is fiction. Bhagavad Gita is real. Krishna is real, right? And in this way, slowly, gently, and with kind of compassion toward the child, try to bring the child on the level that, yes, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Harry Potter is not the Supreme Lord. I know at this age they love their own books, but yes, I have grandchildren also who are growing, so it's difficult to deal with them. Sometimes they argue a lot, but we should be there, not kind of pushing them, but talk nicely to them and try to reason that, yes, I know you love Harry Potter, but don't compare with Krishna. Hare Krishna. I hope this gave a little bit of help to the mother. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Any other points? Any other devotees wish to share some feedback or reflections or questions? Okay, so thank you so much. I think there's one message here. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for your kind time, dear devotees. I'm wishing you all the best. Today is Saturday, so hope to see you in the temple tomorrow. Otherwise, have a lovely week ahead. And yeah, slowly the festive season is coming very soon. From February onwards, there will be a lot of festivals. Nityananda Prabhu's appearance, Advaita Acharya's appearance. So yeah, that time of the year has come again. Wishing you all the best, and Hare Krishna.
Kripascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Prabhuji.
Good night.
Thank you.